Hey there, Cindy Hackett, Realtor at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Drysdale Properties in Modesto, California. How are you doing? Hope all is well. I hope wherever you are, you're having some stable weather because ours seems to be a little schizophrenic. Uh, 80 degrees last week, raining off and on this week. It's supposed to be 80 degrees again tomorrow, I swear. If this is what spring really is, then it's exciting because I don't feel like I've had a real spring in the valley for quite some time, quite some years. Rain is not so prevalent here where we are. So let's talk about Market Watch Wednesday. The market is holding pretty steady this week for this Wednesday, absolutely. So the two things that we're going to talk about in our multiple listing service, which runs from Nevada County all the way to Merced, including Nevada County, Placer County, El Dorado, Sacramento, Yolo and Amador, Stanislaus, San Joaquin, and the western half of Merced. And so today, in the past 24 hours, in all of those areas, in all of those counties, we've had 284 new listings come on the market. That's a little bit less than last week. Last Wednesday, we had 324 new properties come on in that 24 hours. And so this week is down just a tiny bit, 12%. And then our other significant number is our sold number. Yay, closed escrow. And that number is also down just a little tick. Last week we had 218 on Wednesday, and this week we have 181. So that is down 17%. This is the time of year when those numbers kind of bounce around a bit. I do have a feeling that next week is the last week of May. So between next week and the following week, the beginning of June, I do see our new listings, I would expect them to head in a new direction. So our price reductions are holding steady. Our pending numbers, home sellers that have accepted an offer, those numbers are just holding steady. No real significant change there from last Wednesday. So what I wanted to talk about today was if you are a landlord and you are selling your tenant-occupied property. And I've done this several times, but one thing, this same question always comes up. Cindy, do we keep the tenants in place or do we have them move out now, make some, spruce some things up and then sell our property? And really, I can give you both scenarios, and it's up to the property owner to make that final decision because I don't have a crystal ball, but you might want to sell that property with tenants in place because an investor would want tenants in place and wouldn't want to have to go in the rental market. And although I will say rental market is very strong. So if you had two rentals where you had asked your tenants to move out, you did some repairs, you went on the market, and new owner, if they choose to rent out that same property, would probably not have any difficulty finding a renter. So do you keep tenants in place, or do you and try to sell that way, or do you ask them to leave and make those repairs? And really, it's up to you because it depends on, of course, you're going to have those pre-listing inspections, right? So when you have those inspections, now is probably the most reasonable time to make that decision whether you're going to sell with tenants in place or not. Because once the findings have been revealed about that report, about the termite, dry rot, water intrusion, once that report comes back, and it takes a day or two to get that report back, now you'll know the true condition of your investment property, and you can make a better determination whether, yes, these repairs are pretty extensive and we should probably have tenants move out and go ahead and let us make these repairs. It's going to really enhance our bottom line. Or no, these are the things that we have found the defects with the property, and we're going to be upfront and forthright with our possible buyers and let them know what's going on about the property. And we can maybe offer a seller credit. We can reduce our asking price by set amount, or go on the market knowing full well that you're not at your property is not in prime condition, and so you're going to take a little bit less all dependent on what those numbers turn out to be. That's one scenario. The caveat to all of this is if you are a landlord and you own the property and you're going to sell it and you choose to keep tenants in place while you're on the market, then you could be setting yourself up for a little bit of a hassle if the tenants, financial hassle, if the tenants choose to be difficult and A, block showings, or B, they don't want to move. Like I said earlier, the rental market is very tight. Rental properties are expensive. They can be difficult to find. And so what can happen as a property owner selling your rental property, if tenants are still in place and they're having a difficult time getting out, and you're getting closer and closer and closer to closing escrow, your tenants are required by your contract, by the purchase agreement, to have vacated the property 5 days before the close of escrow. If not, the financial consequence is that the buyer can sue the seller for breach of contract, because that is part of the contract. The tenant-occupied property, if selling with tenants in place, will be, if selling with tenants not occupying the property, that they have to be out within 5 days of the close of escrow. That's how you're going to deliver the property without those tenants in it. If they refuse to stay, if you can't get them out, if they don't go on time, you, seller, could be responsible for paying the buyer 3%, up to 3% in liquidated damages. So you really need to be sure. You need to understand what your relationship is with your tenants, understand that the rental market is very difficult, that they probably will look at facing even higher rent from whatever you're charging to find a replacement property for them. And so there's many things to be concerned about. And if you have more questions about selling a tenant-occupied rental property, send them my way. Send me a text. My phone number is 209-566-5828. Give me a call. Let's talk about it. This was not something that I knew before I was a realtor. And my very first investment property that I was selling had tenants in place that had a very difficult time finding another rental. And that's when I learned about all of the repercussions. What if the renter can't go? What if the renter can't find another place? What does that mean for my seller? We just hold things off another week? Maybe if buyer is willing to do that. Or you could be writing the buyer a big fat check. So lots of things to keep in mind. And anytime you have a question, shoot it my way. I'm happy to help. All right. Cindy Hackett, realtor at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Drysdale Properties in Modesto, California. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Lots of graduations happening out there. So have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.